It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Smooth and Savvy is joined by some of the hottest talent in the entertainment industry, from musicians to authors and all those in between, along with our own Periscope girl. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Smooth and Savvy himself, Douglas Coleman.
Hey ho, hi. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. How are ya? Happy New Year to everybody. New Year will be here in a couple of days. Wow, 2015 just flew by. I don't even remember anything about it. Or very little. It just went so fast. Well, I hope 2016 will be a good year for everybody. I'm optimistic. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I thought I would just play a kind of a medley. You know, people, when you get to the end of the year, you sort of reflect on what's happened and reassess your life and think about things and get a little reminiscent. And I thought I would just play a medley of music that I've done over the last many years. They're just little clips. Some of them have been produced, some of them haven't. Some are just kind of rough demos. All of it's my music except for the very beginning, where I just did a clip of my favorite Paul McCartney song, Maybe I'm Amazed, which in the last 30 years I've probably sang and played 100,000 times or so. I mean, it's just one that I can't seem to get enough of. I used to do that in New York when we played there. We covered that song, and this is just a little clip of me doing that. And then the rest of it is my music from various years, recorded on various equipment. So the sound quality is, it's all decent, but some of it sounds a bit different than others because some was recorded on tape and some wasn't really mixed so great, but just give you some ideas. So it's just a little bit of a medley of my music. Hopefully people will enjoy it. I, have been writing for 30 years plus. Over the years, my music has kind of changed. It's evolved somewhat. So this gives you a little taste of, what I was doing then. And anyways, so have a listen. This is a Douglas Coleman medley.
The way you love me all the time, and baby, I'm afraid of the way I need you. Baby, I'm amazed at the way you pull me out of time, hug me all that night. Baby, I'm amazed at the way I really need you. Riding on my sound, no need to slow it down, moving so fast, I keep on falling, riding on my sound. Never touch the ground. He's always been a long way down. by sharing a laugh or two or a joke with a friend. I'm not sure you have one. You may be at the end. You're just who I love. You're just who I love. You're just who I love. For all you've done and what you do, the only one, the only one, the only one is true.
It was interesting to hear some of those songs. I haven't listened to a couple of those songs in a long time. We'll be right back with Laurie Burton after this commercial message.
Hi there, this is Stuart Epps from the UK, record producer, engineer. You might have heard of me. I've worked with artists from Elton John to Led Zeppelin to Bad Company, Twisted Sister, Robbie Williams, Oasis, many, many great bands and artists in the past and the present and hopefully in the future. But you can work with me as well. You know, all you got to do is get in touch with me on eppsmusicproductions.com. That's EWPSproductionsmusic.com. And I can help you with your productions and with your recordings. A lot of people do home recordings now, which you can only take so far. Maybe they need a bit of professional help. So get in touch with me and we can sort it out. And thanks for Douglas Coleman for giving me the spot. Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye.
Okay, with me today is Laurie Burton. Laurie is an internationally recognized speaker, innovator, and author who has helped thousands of people improve their ability to communicate effectively in order to create more success in business and in life. She is the author of the book Presenting You. In 1985, Laurie became a senior lecturer at the University of California School of Cinematic Arts, where she taught acting and directing in film in both graduate and undergraduate programs. A 30-year veteran performer of film, television, and theater, Laurie uses her acting experience to help people connect more deeply with others through the art of communication. Okay, please welcome Laurie Burton. Hi, Laurie. How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you?
Oh, doing great. Doing great. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Anxious to talk to you.
Yes, me too.
The first thing I wanted to ask you is just a little bit of background, because I read that you're a 30-year veteran performer of film, television, and theater. So you must have done a lot of different things. Tell us about some of that. What have you been in, and anything notable that we might know?
Well, I did a lot of guest starring roles on things like Remington Steele and Dynasty and Our House and things like a soap opera called Rituals which was on a couple of years. That was so fun. Loved it. It was a Fox soap that was on for a couple of years, and we got canceled.
Oh, okay.
But that was so fun, and movies with Elvis Presley and all kinds of different. Which is, I'm just full of sounds this morning, aren't I?
Yeah.
Lots of movies and tons of commercials that were really fun in those days. Boy, they really paid quite well when I was doing commercials. And then I went to USC and taught in the cinema school for 23 years. I taught acting, taught directors how to work with actors, and also an acting for film class.
Oh, okay. You just said something in there about working in a film with Elvis Presley. Is that correct?
Yes, that was my first film.
Wow. Tell us about that. I'm dying to hear about that.
That was so fun. He was great.
Yeah.
He was terrific. And there was one scene where he sang a song that looked like he was singing it to me, but he was really singing it to another woman that he was after in the film. But it was such fun, and we didn't really get to spend that much time with him because right after every scene, he would kind of disappear with his guys that were always around him. But what a nice man!
Wow, now
it's just fun.
Can I ask what year that was?
I was like 19. I think that was 60 something. 60, maybe 60, 63. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Really early 60s. It was a terrible movie, but it was fun. It was called Tickle Me, but it wasn't the greatest movie ever made. Oh dear.
Well, the thing about
lot of fun.
Like Elvis films were sort of like the Beatles films in the sense that people just went to see them. They didn't really care what the film was about.
That's right.
Back in the days before video and MTV and the computer, that was your only chance really to get to see your heroes.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but to be able to do one, I mean, there I was, a few years prior to that, I had his pictures all over my bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
And then to be able to go to be in a movie with him was really, really fun.
That would have been
great
incredible.
Experience.
Yeah.
The background is that, and then acting took me into working with corporations, doing training with lots of different corporations and individuals as well. So it's been a wonderful being able to work my acting into my teaching, presentations and communication skills with individuals and corporations I don't call it acting, but because people say, oh, in corporations, they say, oh, we don't act here. And of course, they do that all the time. They act every day.
Well, it's interesting because my background sounds like the opposite of yours in the sense that, well, I started out studying acting. I'm actually a musician and a singer-songwriter.
Oh, yes. I saw your website and all the great things you got on it. All the music is great.
Oh, thank you. And I started out, I studied acting for about 6 months at the American Academy of Dramatic Art in New York.
Oh.
And then I hooked up with a band and I was really more interested in being a musician than an actor. Although I liked acting, I enjoyed it. But once I hooked up with the band, then it was like, okay, full time to the band. Then I went into corporate for 20 years that paid very well, but had nothing to do with the creative arts. And really sort of, I put that whole side of my brain on hold for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Which gets frustrating if it's your passion, I'm sure you know. And so now, years later, I've come back to it. And I'm really doing what I love to do. I've got a production company. I'm doing all kinds of different things, doing this show, still working on music, working with some great people with my music. So I'm, a little bit fingers in all the various pies, but it's interesting.
We're both blessed.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how you took yours into the corporate world, where mine, the corporate world, pretty much excluded my sort of creative side, right? So I want to get into that a little bit with you. One of the things on your bio here, it says, Laurie Burton's training. Now, I assume this goes along with your book, Presenting You?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Separates speakers from the words being said. Now, that's a very actor sort of training because I can remember them telling me, you're not a person when you're on stage. You're a concept. You are a concept up on stage that people will see. You are not you. So disconnect you from...
Oh, my God, that's...
Yeah,
oh, dear.
From the thing that's up on stage, right?
Well, that's a complete opposite of what the method's all about.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you tell me?
Method acting it comes from your own experience in life. If there's somebody's dying... then if you've experienced death, you use that as a choice in the scene that you're doing. If you haven't experienced that, then you would use a what if. What if somebody that I love died. Hopefully that'll take you to reaching the emotional obligations of the scene.
Okay.
So you draw from your own life experience in method acting. It's not what you described at all. It's very different.
Well, that's interesting.
So isn't it? I mean, there's all different kinds. You can just go out there and act, pretend. If people, it's always my point of view, if people believe you, whatever you're doing to get there, fine. I just happen to study method acting for all those years.
Okay. Well, I guess what they were teaching us then was like unmethod acting, where you disconnect yourself.
Yeah. I don't know how you turn that off, because you're turning off all those great, wonderful things you're passionate about and the things you can love and hate and everything that goes into making different scenes.
Well, I remember things like being in the moment, being in the now, shut off the little voice in your head. Don't worry about what you're going to have for lunch. Just be like right there. And I think, I'm not sure, this is so long ago, but it seems to me they were trying to get people to, when you were on stage, I wasn't Douglas Coleman, I think is what they meant. I'm going to be this concept of whatever character I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
Maybe that's how it was meant to be, rather than, turn your brain off completely. I don't know. But okay.
Well,
go ahead.
What if we can just get to a place of being at any place, and you're making a speech, just be yourself. And then you can always add the colors that you need for a character if that's what you're working on. But being is the ideal state, and that's tough.
Okay, well, let's get back to that statement.
Yes.
Separates speakers from the words being said. So what do you mean by that then?
Separate speakers from the word, what was I talking about? The words being said need to reach into your emotional point of view. The words that you're saying have to be colored with your passion and your emotions and your feelings about what you're saying. So if I say to you, I had the best time last night. Well, we got to color that word, but people will say, I had the best time last night. They won't get involved or embrace the colors and the meanings of the words. That's what keeps the audience's attention. So it's really important. Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm sure we've all had to sit through some speech where they spoke in a monotone kind of voice and just did the speech like this. And oh my God, if that's the quickest way to fall asleep.
Oh, it starts when I was at my chamber meeting yesterday, and everybody introduces themselves, and everybody either reports who they are or they ask it in a question. For instance, they'll say, hi, I'm Laurie Burton. I have a company called Laurie Burton Training, and we do presentation and communication skills. So that was the list. Or they'll come out and they'll say, hi, I'm Laurie Burton. I'm president of Laurie Burton Training. Am I sure? That's a question mark.
Oh, yeah.
You hear people do this all the time now. Or the list. Hi, I'm Laurie Burton. I'm president of Laurie Burton Training. And are you a list? Are you a question mark? We need to speak in periods. So let me give you an example. Hi, I'm Laurie Burton. I'm president of Laurie Burton Training. And we do presentations and communication skills. You hear the difference?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The one, you own what you're saying. It's a period. This is who I am. And the other is, are you sure? What? What are you saying? That people are into that. They do it that way because they want to get off the spot.
Right.
The list, and people list everything now rather than owning it and taking your due, what I call taking your due.
What I find interesting about actors and non-actors is, to me, I'm comfortable on stage, whatever I'm doing. But off stage, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm very shy. Like just going to the supermarket to buy food and running into people and having to talk to them. That's real horrifying to me. But getting up on stage and singing for 2,000 people is no problem. So
That's
I don't know what.
a lot of
Yeah.
A lot of entertainers are like that. We see it. It shows up on interview shows on television. We see that. It's like Robert De Niro was a good example of that for a long time. He's gotten a little better, but he was terribly shy and just almost angry at the fact that he was there and didn't know how to just make the small talk and answer the dumb questions.
Right.
You're there to ask. Right. Yeah. But being comfortable in your own skin, where no matter where you are, it needs to be a part of your presentation. If you're going to go out and communicate with the world and be comfortable. I mean, is that you're just not comfortable when you meet somebody in the supermarket and you have to make small talk?
Yeah, it doesn't, because I think it's useless, or I just think it's a waste of time, or I don't know what it is. It doesn't come from an arrogant standpoint. It comes from because you know what it is? When you're on stage, you're pretending. You're doing something else, you know? Mm-hmm. When you're in the supermarket buying food, you're ostensibly naked in front of these people, right? And I always just feel like, oh, come on, don't touch me. You know, I mean, and like I grew up in Boston. And so in the wintertime in Boston, it's very cold. So when I had to go to the supermarket, I could bundle myself in a full-length coat and sunglasses and a hat and just sort of get through the aisles, and hopefully nobody saw me. Not that anybody was going to recognize me, but it was a way to sort of put up a wall between myself and everyone else. When you're on stage, the wall's already there. It's sort of built in. You're this other person. I'm the performer now. You're
the performer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're a speaker, or if you're a keynote speaker, or if you're giving a presentation, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, I think then the wall is a little thinner, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you really have to reach. You're there to give these people some information and inspire them. So you really have to cross what I call crossing the imaginary line. There's a line between you and your audience, even if it's over the telephone like we're doing right now. You need to cross the imaginary line with your energy and your passion and your enthusiasm. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them half the time anyway. Yeah. That's just human nature. But you really have to work to get the message across that imaginary line. That's where the emotions come with the words.
How do you take people who have no creative, artistic sort of connection? You know, I'm thinking of these really stuffy white shirt and tie corporate people, and get them to a point where they're going to be animated and interesting and, you know, somewhat alluring on stage.
I can remember the first seminar I did at IBM. They had made people come who had been new people and old people. And one guy walked in, he'd been with IBM for probably 30 years. And he walked in, sat down with his arms crossed and gave me a look like, oh, what's she going to teach me? By the end of the day, he came up and said, that was really inspiring and very different from what I've ever experienced. But we put him through his paces. We have people get up there in front of the audience and talk about their passions, for instance. What are you passionate about? First of all, if we film them giving their presentation, their regular marketing presentation, then we have them talk about, we film them again talking about what they're passionate about. Well, it changes a lot. So it's bringing what you're passionate about, thinking about that, using that passion to color these boring presentations that you have to give. Okay. So that people, do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything they're saying is just words. You can say, hi, I'm Laurie Burton. I'm really glad to be here. Or you can say, hi, thinking about using something you're passionate about. My grandchildren. Hi, I'm Laurie Burton. And I'm really glad to be here. You can think of something that will inspire you to color those words in a whole different way, using what you're passionate about. So what are you passionate about, Douglas?
Well, me personally?
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely music. I would say that's probably first. Music has been a passion of mine since I was a little kid. I started playing piano at about 3 years old. And,
oh, wow.
It's built in. I also really enjoy, I love doing production work. I think the older I've gotten, the less I want to be a performer and more of a behind the scenes guy. I started a production company this year, and we're doing music and we're doing other radio shows, which is a lot of fun because what I'm doing is the idea. I'll plug the show, the production company real quick here. Basically what we're doing is, let's say you wanted to do a podcast or a radio broadcast. Okay. But you don't have all the time and the technical expertise to put it all together. So what you would do is you'd come to me and I'd say, okay, well, all you got to do is, get the software so you can record yourself and hook up with your guests on Skype like we're doing. Then just send me the raw file. I'll edit it down. I'll get you a nice, introduction music and the outro, and I'll put it all together into a nice little half-hour or 1 hour package. I'll set up your websites. I'll do all of that. I'll run your shows. And it's great because when you send that back to the person who sent you this very raw sort of tape and you give them this really polished package and they go, wow,
wow, boy, am I good.
Yeah, but I always tell them I make you sound better than you really do. Then there's that reward, aside from getting paid to do it, which is always nice. So I've really been enjoying that and getting very passionate about it. And, I can sit there. I've really found I love to do editing. Just sitting there in a big comfy chair with my headphones on and my mouse and just clicking and getting all the little bits out. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but I get that. I discovered I love to write after most of my life. When I do my blogs, I really like them. And I was always afraid of it up till, 10 years ago. Wouldn't touch a pen. No writing, no computer. But here I'm doing a lot of things in my life now that I never thought I'd do. And it feels really, I love what I do.
Now, when did you write the book, Presenting You?
10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 years ago. But it's been revamped. We went through the whole thing. The initial writing I started it 10 years ago. And I sit down and think to myself, I can't believe I did that. Every day I sat down in between. I was teaching at USC then, so I would sit down every day during the summer and make myself write. And I actually did that. Whew, that was something. It takes a lot of dedication and being focused and being willing to sit there and suffer through when you can't think of the next thing to write.
Oh, don't you hate that? I mean, I've never written a book, but I've written many, many songs with both.
Well, then you encountered the same thing, right?
The writer's block. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really frustrating is when you get halfway through a song or something, because the song has two different elements. You've got the music writing and the lyrical writing. Mm-hmm. And when you get stuck.
You do both?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When you get stuck, it's really, you know what I'm talking about. It's just.
Yeah.
Because you could get stuck on the music part and have all the lyrics. So the lyrics are kind of, they're talking to you. They're saying, come on, finish the song, get that, find that chord, find that transition, find the bridge.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Oh, I know, it's really frustrating. But when you get it done, doesn't it feel good?
Oh, it feels so good. I did that. Okay, let's do it. Let's perform it or let's send it out.
Absolutely. There's no better feeling to me than to finish that song and have it done.
And sometimes, I feel like, I got to do the blog. Oh, dear. And then it's that, okay, let's go, Laurie. Sit down. What's it going to be? Then you think of it and you do it, and then it feels so good when it's done. So good.
I think the radio show has been really good discipline for me, and probably similar to your blog, because with writing music, you don't just say, okay, every Tuesday at 9:00, I'm going to sit down and write a song. It doesn't work that way. You have to write when you're inspired, something comes to you. I've had probably my best songs come to me while I was driving, and I would have to like stop or, because all of a sudden this phrase would just come into my head and I'd be, damn, that's it. Okay, I got to get that down before I forget it.
Yeah.
But with the radio show, I have to do it every week. So there is that discipline about, okay, let's put something together. We get our guests booked. We get the editing done. We've got a deadline to get the show up so it can be aired. So I really like the sort of combination of, yes, you can be creative. Yes, you can kind of put the show together how you want to put it together. Doing the actual interview like we're doing is a creative process. But then you've got the sort of reality of a deadline, like a real world reality. Yeah. So it's a good combination of both. I'm definitely enjoying it. I've only been doing this show actually, or a show, since June.
No, really?
Yeah. I started I was on a radio station, in Florida, and I did 8 live shows, which was a lot of fun, but it taught me I never want to do live again, because there were just too many problems. Too many technical problems, too many trying to get guests to, come at a particular time. It was just too difficult. Everybody said, well, no, I can't come then, but I can come then. I said, well, sorry, but the show is live. So you have to come when it's on, And
live means you are in the moment going for it.
Right. So then I said, okay, let me just do this on my own. I think I can do this. And now it's great because I can book people whenever and put the shows together when I can put them together. And then you get a better product. I really think, people always say a live show is spontaneous. Well, it is, but what I found the humorous parts of the live show was when stuff broke down. That was the humor. And that really wasn't what I was going for, because that to me was like a Laurel and Hardy movie. The funniest bits were when they dropped the piano trying to move it into the apartment, right? Well, I didn't want to be that. So doing it pre-recorded is really a better way, but you can still be.
So you like the control.
Yeah, I like to put out a good product. I don't want to go outside unless my hair is combed and, my clothes are neat. I don't want to just look like some slob going out there.
Yeah, well, that's, the spontaneity. It's a combination of all those things. What I do, it's being spontaneous, and what you do too. And in control, but spontaneous and being in the moment, and, oh dear, all those things.
Well, yeah.
It's a combo. Go ahead.
All right. See, there's a slight delay on this line. I know.
There is a delay. We were driving each other crazy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that being in the moment is great. And depending on the type of guest you get on this show, it can be a lot of fun because you just sort of play off each other, like we're doing now. Right. I mean, this is great. But sometimes you get somebody who is less than enthusiastic about being on the show, or maybe just not the greatest communicator in the world, somebody who probably would benefit from doing one of your training sessions.
Yep. The ones you must really just dread are the people who do hi, and they give you the short answer, and their energy is really low.
Yeah, you've got to kind of pump those people up.
Yeah.
I usually have a list of questions or some kind of, like, I'll take their bio and just sort of highlight, with the highlighter just a couple of places. And then, if there's dead air, then I hit the highlight spots and say, well, tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So how about this right on there?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, did I answer your question about that? What we were talking, your initial question about what I'd said about
separating speakers from the words.
Separating, yeah. Well, what that really means is essentially be more involved in your emotional point of view than being the speaker. Just let it flow and have fun what you're saying. Get behind the meaning of those words. Don't get up there and give a speech. That's going to be boring.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. That's just be who you are. But a lot of people are afraid to be who they are up there. They don't think it's enough. So we gotta show them how they can build on making it more.
So give us an example of what you would do with, well, let's go back to the IBM guy, because to me, that's sort of the classic stiff shirt, white collar.
He was classic. Yes, yeah.
So
getting, they're very some people are very protective of their personalities, and they don't want to loosen it up. It's been set in their ways and it's good. And anything outside of that is total fear. So mostly people are afraid of being judged and being seen. And that's the ultimate for most people. That's why people hide behind podiums and when they're standing up there, they cross their hands in front of their, what I call the fig leaf, to hold on to, to cover the important parts. People have to hold on to themselves somehow. And I get this guy up there and he's got his hands in the fig leaf, and I say, all right, so how about your hands at your sides? Now that, and your feet equally distributed underneath your hips. And so he reluctantly went into what I call the neutral position, which is a place that you can come from and gesture anywhere, walk freely, rather than having your arms crossed in their pockets, in the fig leaf, or behind their, your hands have to be by your sides. And that's initially one of the first things we do, because it's very difficult, because you're exposed.
Right.
People don't like that. So getting comfortable and being able to move out of that neutral position is a key to being a successful communicator. Not holding on, to know that it's all going to be okay. You're going to, the words and the arm gestures are going to match. Like if I say yes, then my hands go whatever way that word inspires. So it's a complete connection, but from your toes to your nose, and your eyes, your face.
What about people that hold on to something while there's, like holding a pencil, or, I mean, does that work?
I would let them definitely start with that, because it's a really good, they have the right idea. The tension, because the tension in our bodies needs to go somewhere. Touching, holding on to like if you're standing to the side of the podium, put your hand, hold on to the podium. It drains the tension through your body into the podium. So it's a way for them to just feel connected to something, rather than to start out initially with the neutral position I was describing.
Right.
But it can get in the way. It will get in the way, because then it becomes, a crutch.
Oh, good point.
So, yeah. So it's a good way to start when you're out there feeling totally naked and exposed.
Now, that's assuming you don't have any kind of AV thing. Like a lot of people, when they give speeches, will have something on a screen behind them that they have to refer to and point to. And that sort of changes the dynamic of the speech a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, if you have...
Well, it lets them off the hook.
You're right. PowerPoint presentation or something.
Read the words. And so they're reading the words. It becomes, the people are looking at the PowerPoint and going, or they're interested. But it's somewhere in between most of the time. And then he's reading it in a very kind of boring way. Usually they're not saying, yes, the most important part of your speech is, I'm just making this up. They're again, not emphasizing the emotions in the words. It is required for some people. I don't use one, but, you really got to be out there and still animating twice as much when you're using PowerPoint. It's a lot of work. And know-how.
Can somebody be over animated?
Yes, and what happens is it usually comes out and their hands are going all kinds of ways. They're pacing back and forth, and they're overly too enthusiastic. It's not so much in their voice and their face, but in their body. The tension comes out in their body, and sometimes they're just too cute, too much. It's just, I'm so glad to be here. Oh, quiet, calm it down, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people like that on stage that were just off the wall. And I tell you, after watching them, you're tired. I mean, they sort of drain the audience of their energy because they sort of zapped it all from them. They stole it from them. basically.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just too much oh dear, too much overacting. And we used to have a sign in class that said, "No acting, please." And that said it all. Yes.
I was just going to, you just inspired a thought here, came out of nowhere. You remember the great late Lucille Ball, yeah?
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
She, I guess after her shows and things, she was teaching acting for a little while somewhere in LA. And one of the things that I remember her talking about, I don't know if it was on like Dinah Shore or one of those shows, but she said that what she always told her students was listen, react, act. Mm-hmm. When, either in a scene or just in a conversation. She said that actors had to be very good listeners.
We all have to be good listeners, and we're caught up when somebody's talking to us, we're already coming in what's happening as they're giving their whatever speech or talking to you. We're coming with the answer rather than listening. We want to feel smart and in the conversation, so we're already forming that answer rather than listening to what they have to say.
Yes, yeah.
So just what do they have to say, and then give it a second, and then come with the answer, because you're robbing both of the people get robbed because you're formulating an answer rather than really listening to what they have to say. And we're lousy listeners. And with listening, if you're photographed, you have to be, or you're in a room and you're speaking to somebody, you have to be an active listener. And that means you're not sitting back slumped in your chair. You're listening. You're at the edge of your seat. You're comfortably at the edge of your seat. Your eyes and your face are animated, listening in an animated way. I teach people that so that when they talk to a customer or somebody in their workplace and they're having a conversation, that they're giving something back when they're listening. You have to give something back. I'm an active listener. I learned that. It's very important.
How is listening important when you're giving a speech?
To the audience, to be active listeners is totally inspirational to the speaker.
Okay.
If they're getting, most of the time we're getting those deadpan, okay, show me what you got to tell me. And you really have to work very hard you got to know, number one, it's not personal. It's just that's the way they listen. But boy, if you have an active listener who's really enjoying you can talk to them, that can keep the inspiration going. It's tough to be a speaker when your audience is blah. I've had it in classrooms and all over the place. All over the place.
Well, I guess it's no different than going out on stage and performing and having the audience looking at you like, the deer in the headlights.
You got a good audience. Yes, yes. You've experienced it, I know, not more than once in your lifetime, where the audience just is not with it that night.
Yeah.
For some reason. It's amazing how that works.
Well, you're right. And the energy you will pick up immediately from the audience, and it affects your performance. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. I work with energy right away with a room full of people in a presentation kind of atmosphere. Have them look at their energies. So energy, people read your energy before you've said a word. People are going to decide if you're walking on stage. People are going to read your energy level before you've said anything. So it's really important that you come out there putting that energy across that imaginary line.
Yeah.
Because they'll determine right away if they want to hear you or not, or, oh dear, what's this? And then you've got to open and make a great opening statement and get them right away, because you'll lose them in 10 seconds.
If you don't capture the audience, they're going to end up not liking you. And then they're just going to tune you out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact is, they tune you out. They've done studies 50% of the time, at least. People are sitting there thinking, oh, what am I going to cook for dinner? Or, oh, geez, why am I here? Oh, well, let me see. Oh, and what was that all about this morning with my son? They're off.
Right.
It's human nature not to They can't be constantly in tune with your speech, that you're so wonderful that they just love everything about you. It's just not human nature. If you're wonderful, they will appreciate it. Yeah.
Let's cover your last bullet point here. It says, pushes presenters past their product. Let's say that you have a really mundane product. What's a good mundane product? Let's think of it.
Mundane Papa, I'm here to present the latest in sponges for washing your dishes.
Ah, perfect. Yes. Nothing more boring than a dish sponge. Okay.
Right.
All right. So how do you get that interesting?
You go ahead. So what were you going to ask about it?
I was just going to say so Mr. Dish Sponge has to make a presentation to all of these people. Mm-hmm. How do you get that or get him past the product and to do something that people are going to be attuned to, interested in, go away feeling like, wow, that was a great speech?
Well, it goes back to the passion.
Okay.
What are they passionate? It's all about your enthusiasm. If you're enthusiastic about this sponge and you relay that, they're going to be enthusiastic about it. You know, we all have seen sponges, but look at the colors on these sponges. This 4-pack has yellow, green, blue, and red. It's new. The red especially is really new. These sponges are fun to hold and great to look at. So, you know, you got to tap into your own passion. He could have come out there and said, all right, so today we're going to look at this 4-pack again. These sponges come in 4 colors, green, blue, red, and yellow. Now, what's different about these? Well, the red one, you got to come out enthusiastic. We once worked with somebody who was doing the report, the latest monetary report for some company. And he said, I dread this. And I said, well, then use your color, your words. The way you use your voice, you could say, hey, everybody, here we got the marketing report. Whoa. So play with it. Have some fun. It doesn't have to be, we're going to talk about the marketing report today. Let me tell you what's going on. You know, it doesn't, use your sense of fun and your passion to come out there and make it more than just a dumb old marketing report.
I think Bloomberg has taken a little bit of a cue from that. If you've ever watched the Bloomberg channel,
yes,
they've livened it up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
from what
Thank
it used
God.
to be. Yeah.
Yes. You got to liven up everything. Every part of life can be livened up. Nothing has to be that serious. We all take ourselves so very seriously. But we're human beings who love life. If you love life and the joy of life, use it in the way you express yourself. For me, it's just, it's such a passion. It's such a wonderful feeling to be able to tap into all these emotions that I have inside of me. We all have them. We just don't know how to tap into them.
Well, and it's nice when you're in a position or a career, a job, if you will, that allows you to use that. Oh. Because a lot of people don't. I mean, if you work on an assembly line in a factory or something, how creative can you be?
Well, you can be creative when you talk to somebody down the line or when you're having lunch, you can be home. When you go home, you can be creative. But it's hard when you're on an assembly line. But you can think creatively.
That's
about
frustrating.
Your life. But that's frustrating.
Yeah, for me it would be frustrating. Yeah.
It would be for you, or it is for you?
Well, it would be for me if I could only think creatively and I didn't have an outlet for it. Because then we have to encourage people to find that outlet. What is it that makes you feel, what turns you on? People say, oh, I don't have time. I can't do this. I can't go out there and try a ballet class. I've always wanted to. It turns me on, but they don't loosen up and go fly a little. But people are funny nowadays. Try and get 4 couples together for a dinner party in this town in Los Angeles. Forget it. We have to go out, 4 or 5 months. People are so stressed and they're having to do things. Life is really tough. Everybody says, oh my God, it's Christmas.
I don't know how we got here, because we're all on a path of stressed, just get it done. It's too much. So many people, it's too much.
Well, what do you think happened? Do you think technology sort of sped up everybody's life to the point where we're going so fast we can't stop and smell the roses?
Yeah, and people are overworked and underpaid, to this day for a lot. I would say a majority of Americans.
So money is a problem.
Money. So they have to do this and do that and cover this, and it's. When I look at people who have children, I'm so glad mine has grown now. I wouldn't want to, and they've done it to themselves. There's the part where the kids have so much homework and the stress of college, and they have to do a ballet class and they have to do a soccer class. And I didn't do all. It was very different for me.
I feel bad for the kids now where it's really become the norm in America that mother and dad both work.
Yeah.
And I think for people my generation, we didn't have that. It was still sort of leave it to Beaver. Mom stayed home and baked cookies, and dad went to work. And when you came home from school, mom was home and everything was, all warm and cozy in the house. That's changed. And I don't know of anyone who has kids that the mom isn't working. I mean, unless they're super rich. But it's just become the norm now. On top of it, both parents work, and then they have to pay this exorbitant amount for childcare. It's like, wouldn't it be cheaper for one of you just to stay home and not pay the child?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me.
You know what I think is at the core of, I just happen to think of these. Honoring each other and respecting each other has disappeared in this society. Just such a lack of. That's why, in college, the kids didn't treat the teachers honorably, and they were too spoiled, and there wasn't enough honoring there and respect. Kids don't have enough respect these days. I know that might sound old fashioned, but I see it everywhere.
Well, it's definitely changed since, it's dangerous to go to school these days. With the guns and all of that. Yeah. I mean, there was none of that nobody thought of that when I was a kid. And we still respected the teacher, and I think a lot of that changed in the 60s.
Yes.
I think with the social revolution, I think that sort of went by the by. And it's too bad. I mean, I think it's necessary to have some of that. Otherwise, you have chaos. You have anarchy.
Chaos. Yeah. So it hurts my heart a little, and to see young people, they do a lot of swearing, and not that I don't swear, but to see a 10-year-old come out with a mouthful of whoa, it must make it's hard to listen to.
I don't have children, but I think if I did, I would be a really strict dad, loving and attentive, but strict.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
and there isn't enough of that.
I think kids need it. Kids need to be told what they can do and what they can't do.
A foundation of here's what's required of you.
Here's your boundaries.
Yes. So what? Let's see. Any other interesting questions? We're really waxing important things here, aren't we?
Well, it's
I like the conversation. It's all over the place, but I like it. Well, so is communications.
Okay, well, Laurie, I think, unfortunately, we have kind of run out of time, and we're going to have to cut this off. But I did want to ask you if you were working on anything currently, any new projects that you want to promote or tell people about?
Yes, a new book, and we're also working on a webinar that will be ready sometime after the beginning of the year. And those are the two important things that are up right now, along with, giving speeches and working with clients. But it's a busy, wonderful business.
So the new book, can you tell us anything about it? Like, what's it about? Is it a continuation of presenting you?
Yes, it is a continuation, and more about confidence and how just all the things I've talked about in presenting you, your innate passions and creativity and how to tap into those things. More of the same, but just going off more.
Okay.
I love to go off.
Oh, don't we all? Yes.
Yes.
Tell people where your websites are so that they can look you up.
My website is laurieburtontraining.com, and Laurie is Laurie, and they can sign up for a one-on-one free consultation. And there are 15 keys to making a presentation that they can also sign up for. There are some YouTube as well that they might like to take a look at on the most important thing you'll ever say, your name. And we talk about that in a YouTube presentation. And I go into the handshake and the importance of your handshake and what that means when your hand meets another hand and you are limp and not doing so well. A limp handshake that doesn't say much about you. So we need to know about what's a really good handshake. And there's a YouTube presentation on that as well.
Okay. So if I go to YouTube and type in the search Laurie Burton, we'll be able to find your videos?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Super.
And I have a video presentation on my website as well. So you'll get to see some of my acting experience. And that starts off with the Elvis and then I go into what we do at Laurie Burton Training as well.
Okay, super. Well, Laurie, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed talking with you. I know we could have gone on for another 4 hours easily.
Yeah, we could have gone on. Yes, we.
Maybe
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We'll have to have you back, I think. Maybe we'll do Laurie Part 1 and Part 2 or something like that.
Yes, Part 2. Yes, no, it was a pleasure. By the way, I love your voice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, take care.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time we've got for the show today. I want to thank my special guest, Laurie Burton. Laurie said in one of her comments on Facebook, it was like talking to an old friend. I appreciate that, Laurie. Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to everyone else. This is Douglas Coleman saying goodbye.
To the